I would say it's exciting today for you to be here because we're going to talk about a subject that's very important. My name is Dwight Evans, and I'm from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'm happy to be with someone who I think is my partner. He's on the Ways and Means Committee. He's done a lot with me, Steve Horsford from Nevada. We're talking about the excitement about small business, and particularly about African-American business, and what has happened in this pandemic. This is a very difficult time we're in, but we will make it. But it will take a lot of work, and we need to work together. So I don't want to take anything or anybody for granted. This will be a free-for-all discussion and be really open. So what I'd like to do is pass it to my good friend on the Ways and Means Committee with me, and also I've watched him a lot in what he's done in Nevada. Stephen.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for joining us. I am Congressman Stephen Horsford, and I represent Nevada's 4th Congressional District, and I want to thank the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation for inviting me, as well as my good friend and dear colleague, Dwight Evans from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for leading this conversation on small businesses, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'd also like to thank each of our panelists that are with us today. These are individuals that make a tremendous positive impact in our communities and have started and grown their own small businesses and have helped others do the same thing. Just a little bit of context, as many of you may know, half of Black small businesses were forced to close their doors by the end of April as the pandemic ravaged many minority communities disproportionately. The number of active business owners in the United States plummeted by 3.3 million, or 22% over the crucial 2-month window from February to April 2020. Unfortunately, Black-owned businesses are more than twice as likely to close down compared to their white counterparts. And according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, they indicate that Black businesses experienced the most acute decline with a 41% drop. Latinx business owners fell by 32% and Asian business owners dropped by 26%. Meanwhile, white-owned small firms, in contrast, fell 17%. So that's why we're having this conversation. Representative Evans and I have worked day and night to ensure the needs of our constituents. Earlier this year, we voted to pass the HEROES Act, which would have provided $8.6 billion of additional funding, especially for our frontline businesses and workers. This legislation includes funding for small businesses and nonprofits to strengthen the payroll protection program and ensure that it reaches more underserved communities, nonprofits of all sizes and types, and responds by providing flexibility to small businesses by providing $10 billion for COVID-19 emergency grants through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. So we're going to talk about how these programs have helped businesses in our communities. We've got several small business owners with us. I'm proud that in Nevada, in my district, just over 36,580 loans were granted to small businesses, on average providing about $150,000. And we were able to save countless thousands of jobs because of this funding. So with that, I would like to thank you again and all of our panelists for being with us and look forward to the conversation. I'll turn it back over to you, Dwight.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for that introduction, because Stephen just gave you what I consider a very holistic view of where we are today and what we have to do. I have a guest who is someone who has had a rather interesting story. Pat Claybrook has basically done a great pivot job in what she does. And I'm gonna let you tell her about herself. She has a cleaning service, and it is highly unusual in terms of having the ability, great employees, but creativity. So I think what she's done is a great job, and her name is Pat Claybrook. Her organization is Jaden Cleaning, and I'd like to have her take on from there. Pat?
Thank you, Congressman Evans. Hi, everyone. My name is Pat Claybrook, and I'm the proud owner of Jaden Cleaning. I'm going to speak today in reference to managing during the pandemic. So Jaden Cleaning was started in 2005. We have approximately 140 employees with offices in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and also Baltimore, Maryland. We are a full-service commercial cleaning company that offers office cleaning, window cleaning, strip and wax floors, carpet cleaning, and also post-construction cleaning. So in March, we started getting phone calls from our current clients to either stop service or drastically reduce service, which meant that we had to furlough employees, as well as see a, right off the bat, 20 to 30% decrease in our revenue. And with that came a lot of uncertainty as the owner of a company, and I felt that of the 140 employees that I was responsible for them and their families. So what were we going to do? So I decided to come up with a plan to pivot, to offer a different service, an additional service to combat COVID. And so Jaden Cleaning began to offer what we call electrostatic cleaning, which is a form of disinfecting and sanitizing. In order to do that, we had to first order and purchase the equipment that we needed, which that was a challenge because not everyone wanted the electrostatic machines. We had to make sure that our technicians were properly trained. So what I did was I reached out to a larger commercial cleaning company that I had built a relationship with that have been doing electrostatic cleaning for years. And they agreed to mentor us on this process. They agreed to train our folks, and I even subcontracted to them any opportunities until I felt that we were ready to perform the service ourselves. So we pivoted to offering electrostatic cleaning and came up with new marketing material and decided that we were going to let everyone know that that's an offering that we now could offer. Added it to our website, sent out flyers and email notifications, and I'm happy to say that we're not where we were pre-COVID, but with each month is better than the last month, which I know I'm blessed to be able to say that. We were also fortunate to obtain payment protection program funds, which allowed us to also call our furloughed employees back. And we were also fortunate enough to receive the EIDL loan from the SBA. So that's how we were able to manage during this pandemic. And as all of you know, with each day and with each month that this continues, we all face different challenges. And so we continue to monitor our revenue and make sure that we can keep our employees employed. So at this time, I would like to pass it over to Ms. Joanne Hill.
Thank you, Patricia. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'd like to first acknowledge that MBDA has done some really great work with the Philadelphia Congressman Dwight Evans. Della Clark has been amazing. And the Enterprise Center that administers our grant program there has done some remarkable work in the area of contracts and access to capital. and thank you for your support as Congressman. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Congressman Horsford. MBDA had a presence in Las Vegas some years back. I don't know if you thought I would remember that, but I do. I've been with the agency now for a couple decades. In a couple of weeks, I'll be celebrating my second decade with the agency, and so I've seen a lot evolve with regard to the growth and expansion of MBDA, all of our programs, our footprint, and I want to thank you both for your support of MBDA and understanding the imperative, the economic imperative of minority business enterprises and their contributions to the U.S. economy. So thank you. I had to get that out.
Good job.
I'd like to share with our listeners and those that are joining us today a little bit about MBDA and where we are today and where we are postured to go to in the future. And our theme at this time is winning the future is now. Next slide, please. At MBDA, we have three pillars that our program centers on, and that is access to capital, access to contracts, and access to markets. Over the past fiscal year 19, we generated more than $1.6 billion in financing, more than $3.1 billion in contracts, and $300 million in exports with minority business enterprises. Our companies are growing and expanding, and when you look at the census data, because we live in an evidence-based economy these days, those are the facts. And that is really what's going to continue to drive the U.S. economy and growth, both domestically and internationally, as well as our competitiveness as a nation in this global economy. Next slide, please. We serve more than 8 million MBEs. The latest census data tells us that there's 11 million located throughout the nation. And again, when you talk about the economic imperative of these firms, they generate more than $1.8 trillion in revenue towards the U.S. economy. Again, these firms are helping to strengthen local communities, support great job creation and retention, as well as expanding the U.S. economy. Next slide, please. The CARES Act. That is the hot topic of the day. And again, I can't thank the congressmen enough for their support to ensure that MBDA received a congressional appropriation of $10 million in supplemental funding to support education, training, and advisement for small and minority businesses in their recovery from the effects of the COVID-19. Grants were distributed to the 30 existing MBDA business centers and national minority chambers of commerce. For those of you who are interested in knowing where the footprint of our business centers are located, you can find those on our website at mbda.gov. The national minority chambers that receive these grants include the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, the National Business League, the National Urban League, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and the U.S. Asian American Chamber of Commerce. Again, you can find their contact information, and I would encourage you to reach out to them if you're looking for assistance with helping your business to either recover and or expand as a result of the opportunities that have been put forward as a result. Next slide, please. Here you see a snapshot of the national network of MBDA business centers. I'd just like to share that if you take a look at the presentation, you'll see our franchise model business centers. Those are the business centers that we've had since the inception of the organization, some 51 years ago. Next to that category, you will see other specialty programs that the agency is very proud of and tout that helps a broad array of MBEs from a wide range of ethnicities. and industries. We have our advanced manufacturing centers that are doing some remarkable work, helping to create made in America products. We have 4 of those. You will see Georgia, Maryland, Michigan, and Texas. We have 4 national export centers helping U.S. businesses to boost and support United States exports globally. We have 4 of those located in California, Florida, Illinois, and Texas. We also have a federal procurement center. That's to help MBEs that are 8A firms, as well as those that are seeking to expand and grow their businesses and balance out their acquisition portfolio with federal procurements. That's located in DC, the District of Columbia. And then our specialty projects. We have a portfolio of those. We have our Asian American, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian programs that are located in Alaska, Arizona, California, Michigan, Montana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Washington. And that's Washington State. We also are very proud of one of our newest programs and special initiatives, and that is Entrepreneurship Education for the Formerly Incarcerated. That program has been extremely well received. Of the grants that we put out, when we put that program out, it received a remarkable response from stakeholders across the nation who had an appetite to run one of those specialty projects. But we have 3 at this time. We are hopeful that we can continue to expand because there's a lot of energy and support around helping those that have been formerly incarcerated to pursue entrepreneurship as a second chance for their futures. And then we have a Global Women of Color initiative that we started. We have a couple partners there, Walker's Legacy. Some of you may have heard of Walker's Legacy, centered on Madam C.J. Walker and her legacy. And we also have a partner with the El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that's doing a phenomenal job with both of those. We've done some excellent work under that initiative with Essence, the Essence Communications, as well as other major corporate partners that have teamed up with us on that. And then lastly, I have to tell you a little bit about the Minority Growth Equity Fund Initiative. That's a $1 billion fund initiative where the agency has partnered with the National Association of Investment Companies to build out a $1 billion fund, private equity fund centered on growth equity for minority business enterprises. And we're extremely excited about that. I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to that slide. Next slide, please. So this is the Minority Business and Technology Initiative is one of our newest partnerships with Amazon Business and the Amazon Corporation. It's a collaboration where we sun, moon, stars aligned, if you will, during COVID. And those firms that had embraced online retailing and selling online were those that were really able to have a competitive advantage with regard to sustainability. MBDA had been working on this partnership with Amazon Business for nearly 2 years. And we had piloted this initiative and it did well. Then we put forward a national rollout that we held back in April. It was already planned before we knew anything about COVID. So the timeliness of it was remarkable. But this initiative itself is designed to accelerate the inclusion of minority-owned businesses in e-commerce and improve the use of digital technology for domestic and global sales. That is what this initiative is designed to do. I am happy to report that as a result of this initiative, we have had more than 5,000 MBEs that have joined to be a part of the training, to be a part of this platform. And it's essentially themed as how to become a seller on the Amazon Business Marketplace. Incredible. And we have other spin-off partnerships that stem from that with integrators to help MBEs establish their presence on this platform and to ensure their success. And we're very proud of this partnership with Amazon. Again, to learn more about that, you can visit our website, and we have information on how to learn more and upcoming events and activities. Next slide, please. Again, I've shared with you a little about our Enterprising Women of Color initiative. Just a quick note, women of color represent 39% of the total female population in the United States. They account for 89% of the net new women-owned businesses. And I have to share that within that data, African-American women business owners are one of the most rapidly growing segments of the female business growth population that's taking place in this nation. Just like Patricia, who you heard from earlier, talk about how she used strategy and innovation to pivot her business strategy to ensure that she was being nimble, to take advantage of the opportunities that stem from the impact of COVID-19. This is a fine example of what African American women are doing and why they are and will continue to be very successful. This particular initiative strives to create pathways to economic empowerment for women of color at large, to grow their network, expand their client base, and to connect to entrepreneurial ecosystems. Again, we've had any number of partners. One of our signature partners for that particular event is Facebook. We have a number of other major corporate partners, as well as celebrity supporters that have been a part of this initiative. But keep your eyes on this and educate those who may be interested in learning more about the, we call it the EWalk. To date, we've had more than 10,000 attendees that have registered and participated in this initiative. Next slide, please. The $1 Billion Fund. I've shared with you a little bit of overview of what that entails. MBDA, our leadership had the vision to fund a grant for this alternative source of capital for MBEs. We know about the traditional banking. We know about private equity to some extent, accounts receivable financing, other small business, minority business lending initiatives, but there has not been a fund or an access to capital initiative that centers on growth equity funds for minority businesses. This fund will facilitate the aggregation and deployment of approximately $1 billion in growth capital into minority businesses. The company that we are partnering with to do this, the National Association of Investment Companies, MBDA, through the leadership vision some 50 years ago, had the vision to partner and stand up, if you will, this organization through a grant back then. And look at where we are today with the kind of fund that they're building out for us. The members, the equity partners within that network generate, they manage over over $100 billion, excuse me, $100 billion, more than $100 billion in private equity. And they've got some remarkable partners that I'm sure you would know if you did your research and visit their website to learn who some of their firms are that are members. The goals, again, are to quantify the demand for and current supply of capital focused on MBEs, leverage the extensive expertise of this organization, and to drive sustainable job and wealth creation in the minority business enterprise community. Next slide, please. To learn more about MBDA, our programs and services and upcoming events and activities, I would encourage you to visit our website. There are 2 events that I have to tell you about that you should know about on our website. One of which is the National MedWeek. That is the preeminent national conference centered to honor some of the nation's most premier and successful MBEs. That's going to take place the week of September 13th. That's the week just ahead of CBC. conference and weekend. And also, we're very, very happy to announce the inaugural launch of Buy MBE Day. The Buy MBE Day is a major event. This is going to be held as a part of our hallmark as an agency. We want to create a consciousness of B2C as well as B2B buying from MBEs, both at the patronization customer level as well as at the public and private sector acquisition level. We want to encourage a consciousness and create a consciousness for support of these firms that are the fastest growing demographic of businesses in America, and because they are truly going to continue to create economic growth for the U.S. economy and strengthen our competitiveness as a nation in this global economy. And with that, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. It's a privilege to be here with you today. Thanks so much.
I want to go back to Stephen. And the only thing I'm gonna ask Steve, can Robert do something, get a haircut for me? Because I am impressed with him. I want to let Steve Horsford to turn it over to him and give him that kind of introduction, because he speaks highly of him in Nevada. Stephen?
Thank you, Representative Evans. We all can use another Fatum type. Good. But first, let me just thank again Joanne from the Minority Business Development Agency. We are very excited to have the resources that your agency provides back in Nevada. I'm happy to have worked with the College of Southern Nevada to secure a grant to help bring MBDA programming back to Nevada, and right in the heart of our community, in partnership with the Urban Chamber of Commerce and other local chambers. But our next panelist is a great community leader. His name is Robert Taylor, but he's known as Twix. He was born and raised in North Las Vegas and is the proud owner of Fatum All Barbershops in Southern Nevada. And I can attest to everyone just how much he has helped the community stay informed, be engaged, and really seek out many of these resources that we've talked about today. A big part of our job, Congressman Evans, is to help secure these funds for our community. But then we need partners like Twix and Joanne and Pat, who can actually help put them to use on the ground with our community. And Twix is someone who definitely has done that in Southern Nevada. I want to commend him for the tremendous work. And I'd like for him to explain how he, as a business owner, has adjusted during this COVID-19 situation, what programs that he was able to secure funding for, and what he sees as the future forward for Black-owned businesses. Twix?
Yes, thank you so much, Stephen Horseman, Congressman Stephen Horseman. I really appreciate that. I'm so glad to be here. As you see, I'm at the barbershop in my salon as we speak, okay? So,
I can get it right now.
Right now, I'll get you right now. So, my name is Robert Taylor. I'm known as Twix the Barber, and I've been owning Fatum All Barbershop franchise for 19 years. I am 42 now. I got it when I was 23, and it's a franchise of barbershops, salons, and nail shops. And as of when the pandemic hit, right, before the pandemic hit, we always thought that barbershop salons were like airtight, can nothing happen to us, we won't get affected. And please believe, we got affected hard as the world did at the same time. So with that being said, due to a state mandate, we had to close our shop down for 3 months. So in March, we closed down March, April, and May for 3 months. And I still owed the rent to all my shops, okay? Yes, there was a thing to where you can get kicked out your building, but we still owed the rent. And when I tell you that I tried out for the SBA loans and I got 2 letters saying I wasn't qualified for it, I'm like, how's that the case? I have all my paperwork, I have my taxes, but Congressman Stephen Horsford, he reached out to me and the other barbershop owners and did a Zoom meeting with us and a bank to tell us that this bank is specializing and to get us loans and minorities loans. So even though I'm an optimistic person, I started getting discouraged from already being turned down twice already. But please, when I tell you that when the bank came through and I got my PPP loan and the other barbers and beauticians got their loans, after that, I made sure I reached out to my barbers, beauticians, and nail techs and other barbers who don't work at my shop to let them know, yes, you can get this, because they were feeling the same way I was feeling. A lot of the big banks were saying no to us, you know, but when he connected us, I needed that, you know what I mean? And luckily, I'm always prepared for a storm. I wasn't prepared for a storm, a hurricane, and all at once, you know. So this money is so needed. And a lot of times people don't understand we're not out here for handouts. We just need information to get the capital for our businesses. I've never got a loan or a grant in my life. Everything I've built has been me cutting hair, saving up money, cash. So I didn't understand how that even worked, because I thought I was good, the cash man. But please believe I needed that. We needed that to secure our business. The shop that hired me 21 years ago just went out of business 2 months ago. And that kills me, because they hired me, but they couldn't stay afloat. And I know 2 other shops that closed during this pandemic. So it's so important. It's imperative that we have the information to try to get these loans and get these grants to keep us afloat. Because as you know, small businesses hire, when I looked it up, it said 95% of employers are small businesses. You know what I mean? From small business owners. So it's good that Patricia, me, and other people are in this situation to where we could hire people who look like us. Like I mentioned all the time, about half of my barbers beauticians are felons, are convicted felons. And not one of them have been back to prison since working at the shops. And I know it's not me because I'm a special person. It's because once you give somebody a career and they get dignity and they are able to provide for their family, they don't want to go back doing what they were doing, because now they're making money anyway. And you feel that you're adding to the society now. You're a good piece of the society. And that's what we need. We don't need handouts. We just need the information. So now, since we're back open, what I did was I made sure I reached out to a company, kind of like Ms. Patricia said, who specialized in COVID cleaning and the static cleaning. And they sprayed all my shops down and did the thorough cleaning, and I recorded that. And when I recorded that, I showed that on my social media, on all my social media platforms, to show people, yes, it's a safe environment, it's clean, you know, it's COVID free. And once I did that, a lot of people in the social media age started sharing it, which led more people back to the shops. So I'm here. I appreciate explaining my story. And I just want people to understand that there are entities and groups out there like you guys who are providing information so we can obtain some of this capital to keep us afloat, so we can keep hiring people and inspiring people.
I like to make an announcement that, you know, this event is sponsored by the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. And it's something that Stephen and I both are very active in terms of the foundation. And we thank this panel. So we're going to open up to some questions, because we really want to get some exchange. And I think it's important. And particularly, I'll go back to Patricia, who would be defined, as I heard, as an essential worker. And you really are extremely essential. So Patricia, talk to us a little bit about what have you learned since this whole, I noticed you pivot from cleaning to, what type of cleaning is that you was describing earlier?
Oh, electrostatic cleaning?
Yeah, talk to me, because I know nothing at all about that aspect of it. So talk about that from a business standpoint and what it means.
Okay, well, electrostatic cleaning is a method by which you go into an area and disinfect and sanitize. And if you use the right cleaning solution, it kills COVID. So that's what we pivoted to, like Twix, the barber, stated. He had, I think I might need to expand to Nevada.
Stephen will be happy with that.
Yeah, I might have to do that. But that's that, you know, as a business owner, you have to look at, no matter what situation presents itself, how you can take advantage of it, right? And that's when we decided that we needed to offer electrostatic cleaning and also let folks know that we can do that. And so the phones have been ringing, and we've been able to really increase our revenue just from that piece. But another thing that's helped us a lot is, one, having all of our documents in order to take advantage of the loans, and also there's being diversified as far as the different industries that we service. Because I say, if we just serviced office buildings, I would be having a totally different conversation, because folks aren't in office buildings right now, so they don't need us at this time. But someone mentioned to me a long time ago, and I try to live this way and run my business this way, is to be ready. Be ready in all aspects of your business, financially, your marketing, your hiring and recruiting, all of those things. We need to be ready and have the right internal processes.
Stephen, a question you have, a comment or
I
anything?
want to ask Twix the barber, now that you've been able to endure, you talked about the fact that some other businesses did not make it, that are in the community in your same situation. So what do you feel needs to happen going forward? And as Congress, what should Congress be doing to help support businesses like yours as we start to focus on the recovery? A big part, Congressman Evans is a very humble man. He's actually the vice chairman of the Small Business Committee. So many of these programs that we've talked about today, he has direct oversight of the SBA and the implementation. We're both on the Ways and Means Committee, and one of the things that we're trying to push is more investment in small business. And how do we use the federal tax code to incentivize small businesses like yours? Not just the big corporations, they're going to be fine. They're going to figure out a way to take advantage. But what do you need as a Black business owner, a small business owner, a business owner that's been in business 19 years, as you come out of COVID, and where do you see things going the next year or two in Nevada?
Okay, thank you. So first, I want to say this. The numbers are there. They have the research. I just heard that, for instance, in California, Palm Springs got 12 times the amount of SBA loans than LA did. So Palm Springs, which is much more money in Palm Springs, got 12 times more money from SBA loans than Compton, LA, Cerritos, Watts. With that being the case, we know the numbers now. People have the research. So when they do that and realize, okay, it's a big divide when it comes to minorities, when it comes to Black people. Okay, how can we help them out? You have the numbers. So for instance, if us barbers, we have to go through the barber board, Nevada State Barber Board. I believe there should be something in place to where, okay, they have grant money just for the barber board to verify who has a license. And now these barbers and beauticians and nail techs can now get allocated the right money, and you know it's legit because it's coming from the actual barber board. Because a lot of barbers haven't received any money. They get turned down for PPP. And as you know, if you're a sole proprietor or if you're subcontracted, you can get a PPP, and they still haven't got it. So the numbers are there, so they can look at the numbers and then figure out how to get the money in the right places. That's one thing I believe. Another thing is, when it comes to forgiveness, if you're a business owner, like I said, I have storefronts, right? So with storefronts, I still have to pay that. So it should be some type of forgiveness when it comes to annual licensing, state licensing. It's hard enough that I got to pay for 3 months of this many shops times 3 when I haven't been open, right? Haven't received any money. But now I have to pay licensing for all my shops. I have no problem paying licensing when I'm open. But we were mandated to be closed. A lot of places in America were mandated to be closed. So how are we mandated to be closed, but there's no forgiveness when it comes to licensing fees, when it comes to the treasury fees, when it comes to all these fees? So it should be something that they can put in place to help us out that way. Like I said, nobody wants handouts. I'm a very prideful person. But in the same token, certain things make sense. And if they want to keep us afloat, Patricia, me, times the millions of other entrepreneurs who took the chance to take a chance to be an entrepreneur so we can hire other people who look like us. This is the time that we need those numbers to equal the working place for people to put us back in a position to keep hiring and inspiring.
I want to follow up a little bit to that, to Patricia, because what Stephen asked is a question relating to what we could do. We sit here in terms of workforce, childcare. Patricia, speak a little bit about childcare and what effect in terms of you being an essential service.
In terms of childcare and how it relates to my business, years ago I made a list of what does my best employee look like, right? And not most, but a good portion of the folks that work for me are women. And one of their obstacles to showing up every day, not that they don't want to, but because they have children, because they are mothers, they can't. If a child is sick, if they don't have someone to watch that child, they can't come to work. You know, we live in a society when there's a mom and a dad and the child is sick, usually mom stays home. So that has truly negatively impacted my business. And so I always say one day I would love to open up a Jaden cleaning childcare so that my employees know that they have someplace that they can take their children, drop them off, and they'll be safe. They don't have to worry about them, and then they can go to work. Like that's a big impediment to a lot of women and men in order to go to work. But I also want to say something to what Mr. Taylor said in response to Congressman Evans' question about what do we need? I think that we need more funds for more technical assistance, you know, to teach minority business owners how to do payroll, the importance of paying your taxes, the importance of paying folks above the table, the importance of having a relationship with the lender. These are all things that people need to be taught, and not just taught, but I think you also have to come from a position of why, what's in it for them. Because a lot of what has become available to us because of COVID, a lot of folks couldn't take advantage of because they couldn't prove that they had employees, right? They didn't know how to do a report that shows that you have so many FTEs, et cetera. So this is a big wake-up call for us that I think if we had more folks to provide the technical assistance and come from this is why, because so many of us don't trust, you know, just don't trust the system.
Absolutely. I think that's really good, great insight and clear direction on what needs to happen, both the element of the paid leave, which a lot of people say, well, businesses, that's just going to put another barrier on businesses. And in fact, what I'm hearing from you, Pat, is that will help you have the resources to give your employees so that they can do what they need to do. And if they can't, then at least their pay is being covered. That expense of covering that leave is being covered. So paid leave as well as childcare assistance. I know Twix the Barber, you've talked about, you know, streamlining the licensing process, the fact that some agencies already can verify who you are and that you are a licensed barber, and why couldn't they use that in the course of approving the funding, and then the more flexibility that are in these programs so that it can cover costs like rent, where in your business that was maybe a bigger expense than maybe another business that had more impact. So these are the things that we have to hear as policymakers, because look, when they were designing the Paycheck Protection Program, that was an entirely new program. And there are people who were working on that they knew how to kind of maneuver things so that it advantaged certain types of businesses And then your point about the relationship with the lender was so key, because we saw that in Nevada, where many small businesses couldn't even submit the application initially because they didn't have a pre-existing relationship with the lender in order to automatically submit their application. And so all the big companies got their application in, they were awarded funding, and then there was no funding left when it was time to help the small businesses after they got all their paperwork and things in order. And so Congressman Evans and I fought, along with others, to get a second round of funding to dedicate a portion of that money to minority, to community development finance institutions, community banks, Black banks, and other financial institutions, and to set aside a portion of that money just for businesses like yours. But we would not have known that without this type of insight. So thank you for helping us do our jobs better. And again, we know we've got a lot more work to do, right? This COVID impact has had a detrimental effect on our economy, as I said earlier. And I'd like to ask both of you maybe to comment on this. Why is it that Black-owned businesses are declining at a much higher rate? Or maybe Joanne, you can speak to this as well. More than 40% of the businesses that may not make it are Black-owned, the highest of any other racial group, and way out disproportionate of the white counterpart. So what is that? What do we need to be doing to help them, Joanne, and the business owners, if you have a perspective?
Sure. Thank you, Congressman. I think the number one impediment, I think a lot of it is centered on access to capital. You heard Robert share, his challenge. I'm sure Patricia has a story, and being prepared. I think oftentimes the reason why I think our businesses fail is because of lack of access to. You also heard both of Robert and Patricia talk about, just having access to resources, whether it be insight about a particular program or the manner in which you do things to make things more efficient to access, or where you have the challenge of a child care, a situation. We've heard stories on end since COVID where schools won't open, the parents need to go back to work, they can't go back to work because they don't have the alternatives. And so it's a plethora, but I think the points that have been made, and especially the increase in programs that provide management and technical assistance is critical, because if we want to help mitigate some of the risk of our firms closing down, that's where we could use continuous support to do more of that.
I know we're running out of time.
Pat?
I agree with Joanne. I wrote it down when Congressman Horsford mentioned, asked the questions, access to capital. That's why we're closing at high rates, because most small minority businesses don't have a rainy day fund. They don't have 2 to 3 months of payroll in an account waiting for COVID. So the bottom line is that we need access to good capital, because not all capital is good capital, but we need access to capital.
Real quick,
and I would like to say, I totally agree with that. That's the main key, access to capital. And please let me say this, because I say it all the time. There's not a president, governor, mayor, councilman who could change your life, but every mayor, councilman, everybody should give you the information where you can change your life. And that information is leading you to the capital. So that's it. If you are a politician, you need to give people the information. So now we can do our due diligence to get our life afloat.
It is absolutely my pleasure, and for Stephen and I both together, because this is a partnership. And thank all of you for participating, both business owners and minority businesses. We thank you, because what we wanted to do was empower people So what I'd like to do is thank you from my perspective and turn it over to Stephen to give the last comment to close out, and then we will close out on time. Stephen.
Well, I want to just say thank you to everyone as well. Thank you to everyone who is tuning in to this annual legislative conference digitally through the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. This is the beginning of a series of conversations that we will continue to have, but know that Black business ownership, creation of Black wealth, and a focus on entrepreneurship, especially for our young people, is something that the Congressional Black Caucus and the Foundation take very seriously, and it's something that we want to hear your ideas and suggestions for how we can continue to promote these policies on a federal, state, and local level. So it's been great to be a part of this panel with all of you. Thank you to my good friend and dear colleague, Congressman Evans, for your tremendous leadership, and everyone tune in to the next small business committee meeting where you can see him with the gavel. That's my brother. When he has that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That'll be the end of it. Thank you.